This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, let's have some fun. Another hour of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo gracing your airwaves right now here on VSiN, the sports betting network. We've got a busy weekend to dive into. Tons of hoops, great baseball cards all weekend long. Going to get into some series prices in addition to Friday's fun slate on the Diamond. I'm jazzed up. I can't wait. Not as jazzed up as Chisholm was. Jazz Chisholm, after that strikeout that led to the ejection in the Yanks win down in Tampa Bay at the Yanks ballpark. How funny is that? The Yankees are the road team at Steinbrenner Field. Did you see that? And then Chisholm tweeting after the ejection, 10 minutes after. I remember I'm sitting there eating dinner, getting ready for the show, and I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I'm like, wait, Jazz Chisholm, is he not playing right now? I look, sure enough, he was ejected. Unbelievable. I believe there might have been an F-bomb in the tweet. Since deleted tweet. You know he's going to get fined for that. But I got to say, he wasn't wrong. Did you see the pitch? I mean, the ump knew it, too. It's why he gave Chisholm as long of a leash as he did. Blue knew it. Thing was 6 to 8 inches beneath the zone. I mean, my goodness, what are we doing here? I loved that umpires were warning players earlier in the season that if you tap your helmet to make fun of us when you think we get a call wrong, you could be ejected for that. That's crap. The players should be doing that because they did that ball strike challenge thing in spring training, and more often than not, the players were right. And now we're 2.5, 3 weeks into the regular season, the stateside season, and these umps are showing us they're as incompetent as ever. You had the final game, the rubber match, Mets-Twins, where the Twins score their third run. Mets would have won in 9. It would have never seen extra innings if the first base ump got it right. Forgot who the Mets reliever was. Play at the bag. I think it was Jose Buto. Play at first base. I mean, it was like Galarraga-esque from the perfect game that wasn't over a decade back, you know? Clear as day. The Mets got the out. Buto stops, complains to the ump. Boom. Third run for Minnesota, scores behind him. Then you got this with Jazz Chisholm and the Yankees. 6 to 8 inches below the knees. Called strike 3, punched out. The umpires have been absolutely atrocious. No one more jazzed up than Chisholm himself. But let's look ahead to Friday. We'll get to Friday on the Diamond here shortly. Folks, we've got play-in basketball. For the right to be the 8 seed and the right to get waxed in the first round. Sorry. I might love Miami in this game. I think the extent of how far the Heat can go against Cleveland in the opening round is a gentleman's sweep, a 5-game set. But I do love the Heat in this game in Atlanta. And I think the Heat will be the first ever 10 seed to go from the play-in to the playoffs. In fact, the market agrees with me. We've been moving the market all week on Cashing Out. Last Sunday, bet the Clippers plus 135 to win the series against Denver. Now it's a pick 'em, 10 cents each way. Last Sunday, didn't bet it. Talked about Knicks Pistons going over 5.5. It was minus 115, got up to minus 130. Now it's settled at minus 125. Still 10 cents longer than where it was when we first hit it. Bet the Heat yesterday on the money line, plus 105. And they are now favorites. Minus 115 in some shops on the money line. You see right there on your screen, DraftKings minus 112. But at other shops, as high as minus 115. Miami. This is how the line movement should have gone for their game against Chicago, by the way. Somehow, the Bulls went from minus 1 at open to minus 2 at close. I bet the Heat early in that one, plus 105. It got up to like plus 115. I thought the money would surely come in on the Heat. Not the case. This time, it seems like people have learned. You don't bet against Eric Spoelstra in a play-in situation like this. You just don't. You got one team that even in the post-Jimmy Butler era is more experienced. I think is more well-suited for a win or go home atmosphere like this will be at State Farm Arena. And I know Trae Young has gone playoff Trae in the past. Look, that was 4 years ago against my Knicks where he went scorched earth at MSG. He's come up empty, come up short a lot since then. And now he's dealing with this Achilles thing. I'll tell you what, we've already locked in the Heat money line, plus 105. I'm adding Trae Young under 25.5 points at minus 10 cents to the portfolio. I don't think he has a good game. And the way that the Heat are defending, look at what they did to Kobe White. Kobe White had an otherworldly finish to the season. Chicago is scoring at will seemingly the last 6 weeks. They were a sneaky, underratedly hot team going into the play-in. I still, despite going 3-0 against Miami in the regular season, didn't like the matchup for the Bulls. But they were a sneaky, hot team. They were scoring a ton. I mean, what was that game in LA against the Lakers? They put up a $146 a couple of weekends ago. Chicago could score. Miami held them to 90 points. Held Kobe White to just 17. Hero obviously had his 38 piece. Now, I don't think Tyler Hero is going to do that again because he's going to have one of the best defending guards in the league on him in Dyson Daniels. Hero's over-under coming in around 25. I think he lands somewhere around there. So that's a stay away for me. I can't get there on Bam again. Went 20-plus against Chicago. He had 7 after the first quarter, finished with 15. Still had a great game, 15 points, 12 boards. Can't get there, though. It's laying, you got to lay heavier juice, like 20, 25 cents on 20-plus points for Bam in this one. So I'll stay away, but I think the play to target is Trae Young under 25.5 in terms of the prop market. You know who else, by the way, has been sensational on the glass lately? I think he's gone over 8 of his last 11 on his rebounds number. Dyson Daniels. What did he have? 13 boards in the loss to Orlando. What's his rebound number coming in at for this contest with the Heat? Dyson Daniels, boards, 7.5 plus 25 cents to the over. It's worth a look. He had 12 or 13 against the Magic. He's been doing that great lately. Still don't trust him a ton to score, but on the glass, defensively, had 0 steals against the Magic. Might be due for a couple in this one. But you look at him defensively, then you look at his backcourt mate, and man, Trae Young could not be any more of a defensive liability. You work in the Achilles issue, and I think that's going to hinder him offensively. I just don't trust Trae Young in this game, and I do trust everyone on the Heat. Heat money line, Trae Young under 25.5. My 2 best bets, Miami, Atlanta. I don't have a strong play in the Dallas-Memphis game. If I'm going to lean any which direction, it's going to be Mavs plus 6 over 221.5. With a little more conviction behind the 221.5. I also think Memphis wins. So if you were to go over 221.5 same game parlay with the Grizz money line, you're plus $1.60 on that. I'm not doing it. I'm just letting you know if you went over and you went Grizz money line, because I don't want to lay the 6 with them, you're plus $1.60. I think Memphis wins. I'm worried about Ja Morant. I actually might get to the counter on Ja Morant under 25.5, just like Trae Young. I'm surprised with that ankle that his point total is coming in so high. In fact, it's 26.5, minus 20 cents to the under. I think that's your move. I think Ja Morant under 26.5 points. I'm expecting a big game out of Desmond Bane. And his total is up in this one, 22.5. What was it, 19.5? Going into the Grizzlies Golden State game. I think Desmond Bane, Triple J. It's going to be interesting what Jaren Jackson Jr. does because the Mavericks just have bigs for days. I mean, Davis, P.J. Washington, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford coming off the bench. I mean, this team's got 3 power forwards or centers on the court seemingly at any given time. But Morant, best price out there, under 26.5. I just said it's minus 120 at DraftKings, minus 130 at FanDuel and Boyd. Sheesh. You can get it at MGM minus 110. That's your best price. Bet Rivers has 25.5 as the number, so the under is minus 105. But MGM, 26.5 under Ja Morant, minus 110. Fading some superstars in this one. Trae Young, Ja Morant. I'm feeling unders on Friday's playing games. I think they're going to be a little tighter. You know, now it's really do or die. It's not just win or, maybe we play for the 8 seed like it was for Memphis last time out. No. Now it's do or die. And Morant's got the bad ankle that he rolled. I'm really curious to see what kind of a game we're going to get out of Ja in this one. I've been saying it since that ankle injury happened. Past 48 hours. That is an easier injury to recover from and come back out there and play 5 minutes after it happened than 48 hours after the fact. Because A, you got adrenaline overruling the injury, but also it's not fully swollen yet. You sit on that for a couple of days and you watch it swell up. Now look, it's the NBA, it's professional sports. They're shooting him up with painkillers and whatever the hell else. So they're going to make sure he goes because it's a win or go home situation here. Obviously, he's going to play. How effective, how impactful will he be? Maybe he'll dish out some dimes, but I don't think from a scoring perspective, he will be all that impactful. Give me under 26.5 points. John Morant. We'll put that in best bet territory. Folks, Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. How about that? It ensures that all gambling transactions are approved. That means no usage fees and it means no minimums. You can earn cash back rewards plus get 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today. edgeboost.bet. Promo code, your favorite word, my favorite word, cash. Deposit $25. Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet. Final minute here. How about the Clippers-Nuggets series, the way that's moved, huh? Plus 135 Clippers were at the beginning of the week. First episode of Cashing Out this week, back on last Sunday night. They were plus $1.35. Nuggets were laying like 60 cents. Now, it's a pick 'em. We got in at the right time. If you're not in on the series price yet, I would advise you, I would rather go Clippers money line game by game than play the series minus 110. They're probably going to be favored when they're home, but if they can steal some games in Denver, you're getting plus money. They're going to be dogs in Denver. If it goes 7, which, I mean, a pick 'em would indicate it very well may. If it goes 7, that means LA is probably going to be a dog 4 out of the 7 times. Get some plus money plays, some plus money opportunities. Or play it safe and take the points. But I love the plus 135 on the Clippers to win the series. I don't like minus 110. I'd rather go game by game the rest of the way in that case. More NBA playoffs up next. More Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Thursday night into your Friday morning here on the program. And I feel like we haven't done this in a while. I'm excited. It's time for Moron or Moron. We're going to see if our producer, Jared Moore, is on to something or if he's a big old moron for his hot takes. He's got 3 of them. I haven't seen him yet. Going to take a look at these for the first time right now as we go. Let's start. Moron or Moron? Jared says, give me the Rockets to win the series against Golden State 4-2 in a 6-game exacta, plus 750. Whew. That's a tough one. You know, it feels hypocritical of me to say it's a moron take because I've got Houston in the series, but game 6 at Golden State, are the Warriors going to crumble on their home court? That's a tough one. I mean, that ain't a game in Houston. That's a road game. That's telling me the Rockets are going to clinch it in Golden State. At plus 750, though, I can't hate on it. A, I've got the Rockets to win the series. B, that's a sexy price. I mean, look, if there's one thing that our producer Jared Moore knows, it's had to do something sexy. That is a sexy price, plus 750. I mean, you could put a quarter of a unit on that. And, you know, you're still making more than a U. So it's hard to go against that if you want to do a little sprinkle. I wouldn't put a full unit on it. I'd rather just play the Rockets. What are they now? Plus $1.55 to win the series. I think that's more the direction I would go in. You know, I'm sitting on that 27-1 ticket to win the Western Conference, and that's the approach I'm taking is Rockets 27-1 to win the West. And then, you know, I'm banking on them beating Golden State this series, and then I'll hedge as we go the rest of the way. Look at those odds on your screen there. Rockets plus $1.55 to win the series. Golden State, you're laying 90 cents. That might be down to 70 last I looked. Over under 5.5 games. If you want a correct series score, yeah, Rockets in 7 is 5-1, so that is a juicy price, plus 750. I don't hate it. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I lean Rockets in 7, and then I might break my rule of not hedging until the second round. I might do a Game 7 hedge with Golden State on the road. I might begin my hedge there if it gets to 7. But that's the earliest I would start hedging my 27-1 would be a Game 7 this series. All right, let's see what else he's got. Moron or Moron? Jared Moore's next take. I'll take the Pistons +7. Game 1 against the Knicks. No, I like that. I think Moore is absolutely onto something. Absolutely. How can you not like that? I'm scared for the Knicks this series. I think the Knicks win the series. I don't think it's a cakewalk. I don't think it's no disco. I think the Knicks are going to struggle against Detroit here. Absolutely going to struggle. The Pistons are dangerous because they've got nothing to lose. This is a young team that exceeded any and all expectations they had coming into this season. And this is a Knicks team that, frankly, after the way last year ended, up 2-0 in the second round against Indiana, then crumbling, losing it in 7, this Knicks team should have been floor conference championship. Right? I don't think many people saw Cleveland coming out taking the 1 seed. I think people expected Boston to have the 1 seed. And then it was like Celtics, Knicks, Sixers. 1, 2, 3. What happened to Philly? Can we pour one out for the Sixers real quick? My goodness, didn't even make the play-in. But those preseason were the odds to emerge from the East. It was Celtics, Knicks, Sixers. So the Knicks, I mean, yeah, they're sitting here as a 3 seed, and that's all good and well. But the 2 is going to be Boston. So you know they're getting waxed in the second round if they make it. You know they're going home. It's like that they're extending their season in this series against Detroit, but you know what's inevitable, right? Now, if Detroit goes home in the second round to Boston, that's a great season. 6 seed. I mean, they avoided the play-in. Think about that. The Pistons avoided the play-in. Got the 6 seed. If they beat the Knicks, I mean, Detroit's playing with house money right now. The Knicks, I'm worried about coming out a little tight in game 1. Brunson hasn't played much down the stretch. They just had what was the game? They just had no OG, no Josh Hart late in the year. I think this team's going to come out tight. I like over 5.5 games on the series. Yes, 7 points might be too many. Do I think the Knicks win? I do. Would I lay a touchdown? I absolutely would not. So I think Jared Moore is on to something. Let's get his final take. More on or moron? Jared Moore says, give me over 216 on the total. Game 1, Wolves, Lakers. I don't think I like that. I don't know if I mean, that's a low total, but it's the playoffs, right? And when the playoffs roll around, these totals get low and teams start trying on defense. And yes, the Lakers defensively took a bit of a hit when they acquired Luka, but I think they'll still be able to focus enough on Ant-Man that you're looking at a Wolves team that has no Karl Anthony Towns. You know, this stinks. I always love calling him a moron any chance I get. I disagree with him, but it is such a low total that I wouldn't want to go over. It's like the NFL, right? We talk about it. Low total, give me the under, right? Total in the 30s in football, give me an under. Total in the 50s, give me an over. This is a low total for a reason. I'm not going to say you're a moron. I'm going to say, let me enlighten you, Jared. This is a low total for a reason. And it's a low total because you should be looking under. The Lakers, look, I'm not saying that they're going to, make Anthony Edwards put a goose egg up, but I think they're going to neutralize him enough because he's going to be the focal point for them. And they're going to tell Minnesota, all right, beat us with Jaden McDaniels, beat us with Jules Randle, beat us with Rudy Gobert, beat us with Dante DiVincenzo. And I don't think Minnesota's going to be able to. I don't think the Wolves are going to score at will like they did last year in their playoff run. I'm just worried about the Lakers going off here with LeBron and Luka. But no, I see this one living in that 105-98 range. Give me the under 216. You're not a moron, Jared, but you're certainly not onto something. Going over on a low total. Who do you think you are? Hey, VSiN fans, got good news for you, folks. It's time to plan your Las Vegas getaway. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens offering 15% off at his 3 incredible properties: Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and the Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging at Stadium Swim enjoying the NBA playoffs or enjoying the rest of the excitement and craziness Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with the promo code VSiN15. Book your stay now, CircaLasVegas.com. Use that code VSiN15. You'll get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts right here. Let's continue looking ahead to Friday on the Diamond here. Excited about this baseball slate. Phillies, Marlins, what a pitcher's duel we've got. We got the probables graphic, if we could pull that up here momentarily. Zach Wheeler going for Philly, opposite Sandy Alcantara, the Cy Young Award winner for Miami. Phillies, rightfully so, laying almost $2.20. Marlins plus $1.80. Normally, you look at that and you say, oh, Alcantara's going, Marlins plus 180. It's good value with the Cy Young guy on the bump, but Alcantara missed all of last season, off to a bit of a slowish start this year. Marlins just got swept at home to Arizona. I wonder if we have a number yet. Sometimes this is a little late, this market. Phillies to not bat bottom 9. That's somewhere I look. What do we have? Phillies to bat bottom of the 9th. No is minus 130. So this market is really fascinating because this home team to not bat bottom of the 9th, it's always a better price than the money line. But I've seen scenarios where it's only 30 cents shorter. In this case, I don't know if I've ever seen this much of a difference. Usually I say you're going to be about 50 cents. Like I hit the nail on the head. Last Thursday, a week ago, it was a Dodgers-Cubs Friday night game. We gave out Dodgers to not bat bottom 9, but the price wasn't posted yet. And the Dodgers were minus 190 on the money line. I predicted that it would be about minus 145. That was exactly what the number came out at. And that's why I'm at this desk, apparently, obviously. So this is a big difference. That was about, 45 cents shorter than the Dodgers money line last Friday? That's usually where this lives, in the 30 to 60 cent shorter range. I've never seen a 90 cent difference. Phillies money line, minus 220 at DraftKings. Phillies to not bat bottom of the 9th, minus 130. I feel like you got to take that. Zach Wheeler has struggled his last 2 starts, right? This is a guy who I have a Cy Young ticket on at 8-9 to 1. First 2 starts, he looked every bit the Cy Young pitcher I predicted. 13 innings, 2 earned, 1 in each start, albeit those were against the Nationals and the Rockies. But he was 1-0 through 13 innings, 2 earned, 18 strikeouts his first 2 starts. Since then, 5 1/3 against the Braves, 5 earned. 6 against the Cardinals, 4 earned. That's 9 1/3 and 9 earned runs his last 2 starts, 10 strikeouts. So barely over a K per inning. An earned run per inning. Last 2 starts have been rough. But he owns the Miami Marlins and has owned them his entire career. Current Marlins hitters, 68 at-bats, 24 strikeouts. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the San Francisco Giants. It's the wrong team. Current Marlins hitters, 10 strikeouts, 39 at-bats. I think Phillies to not bat is the move.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night, and with the NBA playoffs fast approaching, we're taking you over to the Progressive guest line here. I'm excited for this. We're going to welcome in 10-year NBA vet. You catch him now doing the Rockets games over on Rockets TV. Ryan Hollins joining us on the Progressive guest line. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'm excited to dive into this Houston team, which I think is being ridiculously disrespected. They're the 2 seed in the Western Conference, yet they're big underdogs, obviously taking on the Golden State Warriors in this series. 2 seeds since expansion, Ryan, 72-6 all time in the opening round against 7 seeds. How do you think this Houston team is taking it from what you're hearing, from what you've been around? Are they feeling the disrespect? Are they amped up for this series?
Yeah, well, our group of guys in the city are definitely amped up for the series. There's no question that. But of course, we have a group of guys that have succeeded with a chip on their shoulder, definitely including our head coach in his career. So the villain role, the underdog, whatever you'd like to say, they're excited to play it, and they're more comfortable in those roles than maybe as the heavy favorite, and with all due respect, that's where Curry and the Warriors have been comfortable. They're used to being world champs. They're used to being top dogs. So again, you got 2 teams extremely comfortable in their roles, but the chip on the shoulder for the Houston Rockets, I do believe that's going to play a huge part.
Now, you look at this team, right, and I've been saying that you can argue Houston is the second best defensive team in the West, only behind Oklahoma City, who's just absolutely in another atmosphere defensively. When you look at Golden State, it seems that the offense is Steph, Jimmy, and then it's a question mark on who's going to be the next man up. How well equipped do you think the Rockets are to really isolate those two and try to make Golden State's ancillary scorers, their next man up, beat them?
Yeah, I think they did a great job in their last meeting. Houston was just fantastic, not just on Curry, but communicating. And when you play against the Warriors, you really have to talk. Steph Curry extends your defense out with screens, with coming off screens so far out that what happens is you get Kevon Looney, you get Draymond, you get those guys cutting to the basket, Pajemski wide open. They end up getting wide open layups. If you don't communicate within a split hair second, you're going to end up getting a layup. And a lot of times you just have to go out there and improv and play basketball. So I think that's going to be the challenge for Houston, but they are the most equipped, and it was the best that I've seen Curry defended possibly in my lifetime, either covering the NBA or playing against them.
Ryan, I want to work our way around the rest of the Western Conference here, but before we move off of the Rockets, I'm holding on to a 27-1 ticket on the Rockets to win the West. I saw this price, thought it was egregious that a 2 seed would be such a long shot with teams in the play-in priced with better odds than Houston, so I had to play it on principle. How far can this team go in your estimation? It's a big jump from where they were a year ago.
I'd be lying if I said it was impossible for them to come out the West. Obviously, the Lakers are going to be tough. Golden State is going to be tough in these early rounds. But moving forward, they actually match up with Oklahoma City extremely well, possibly better than anybody in the West. And I think there's a lot of question marks. I think you're still going to look to see who are the Lakers in the playoffs and who are the Warriors. You know, you got two teams that made in-season trades that you're going to tell me that you're going to favorite to come out of the Western Conference. So again, I think things are absolutely wide open. I think it's matchups. I think it's tempo. And again, it wasn't until this season that Houston had beat Golden State in some years, but with some of those 2 wins, there's a lot you can glean. And with Houston being young, they've been able to improve in the season during the year. And that's kind of the gem that these younger teams can get. Now, the problem is they haven't had the experience as a whole. You got Fred VanVleet, you got Dylan Brooks, you got Jason Tate. You got a couple of these guys that have Jeff Green. A couple of these guys have playoff experience, even championship experience. So how does that blend? How does that mesh? We'll have to look at it moving forward. But again, man, I think there's question marks on both sides, and you can look at Houston's depth, and you can say, man, how long is it going to take for them to adjust to the playoffs? And these young guys can be the difference, and they're going to have to play well or at least be serviceable.
And even though they might lack some experience on the court, some of these young guys, I think with a guy like Ime Udoka motivating them, they're going to be ready. I could imagine what those practices look like right now, and I'm sure these guys are going to be ready for the moment and ready to go. 10-year NBA vet Ryan Hollins with us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Catch him all over Houston Rockets television nowadays. Ryan, I want to switch gears and talk about a team that you played more games with than any other team throughout your career, the LA Clippers, because I love this series for the Clippers, and they were underdogs when things opened up. They were plus 135 to win the series. Now it seems like the public has followed suit with me here because this thing is a dead even pick'em, minus 110 each way. Clippers, Nuggets. What's your read on this series?
Forgive me, I forgot about the Clippers. They are the scariest team in the Western Conference right now. And the reason I do say that, man, I got to give them credit. Obviously, they didn't see – we saw them about a week or two ago. Houston wasn't full strength, but James Harden had been making some moves that I hadn't seen since he was in Houston, and Kawhi Leonard had a pop in his step. And the challenge would be, is Kawhi Leonard going to be healthy through the entire playoffs? Now, he's played – just absolutely lights out, and then we seem to get this news that Kawhi Leonard's out for the playoffs, and it's been time and time again. But this year, the Clippers really held him out. He really just worked out. He really got healthy. He really did a lot of those things. So he is going to be the game changer. But again, man, I'm telling you, if anybody in the NBA, the Clippers are peaking at the right time. So, yeah, that is a matchup, and thanks for reminding me to definitely keep your eye on. And it's a scary one, again, because Kawhi Leonard is such a variable getting inserted into the lineup that you don't have a matchup for him, for the way that he can score, the way he commands double teams, and again, defend. So he's not the same Kawhi, but he's still really darn good.
Yeah, and the Clippers 13-1 the last 14 games that Kawhi has been out there playing for him. How about another team you spent some time with? Minnesota taking on the Lakers. What's your read on this series? Who do you have winning it? How many games, give or take, will it go? The over-under on games is 5.5 in this one. What are your thoughts, Lakers-Wolves?
Not to be Shannon Sharp, but I do think it could be Lakers in 5. Anthony Edwards is unbelievable, but the problem is he works so hard and he can run out of gas. And we've seen that from him before. Now, the older he gets and his game gets more simple, I think he's going to be an absolute megastar in the league. And not to say that he isn't already, but right now he's playing on all heart, all emotion. At some point, man, it is really tough to keep that up. But keep in mind, he is absolutely box office, and he's going to be coming to make a statement against the Lakers, and it's going to be some must-see TV with his personality, but it may be too little too late, and I think losing Karl Anthony Towns may have not seemed like much at first, but I'm telling you, man, Minnesota is not the same, and they are hurting without him.
Ryan, you don't sound like Shannon Sharp. You don't sound like anyone else. I had the same pick earlier in the week. I said Lakers in 5. So I love the pick. I love that we're on the same side there. Let's shift gears to the East a little bit before I let you go here. I want to ask you about the Cleveland Cavaliers. How legitimate of a threat are the Cavs to Boston? Because some people are looking at this Eastern Conference and saying, let's just press fast forward and see who Boston's going to face in the finals. Can Cleveland knock off the Celtics, especially with home court, should they meet in the conference finals?
They could, but it's going to be about Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's going to have to be, in the 22 to 25 points per game category for them to win. If he's not, they don't have a chance. He's the guy, as he matures, that takes them to the next step. And, he may not be there. He's so far ahead defensively. He's long, he's athletic, he's got great touch around the rim, but he doesn't necessarily space the floor. Now, going out and getting Hunter via trade was a big pickup, and that was all about Boston, having the size, having the big wings. So, again, I do like Cleveland. They are by far the best to go out and challenge Boston, but I don't think they have enough. And, again, if they do get the edge, we're going to look at that matchup with Evan Mobley and see that he's going to force a little extra attention, a little extra efforts from Boston to have to guard him.
Ryan, that was terrific stuff, man. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Anytime, guys.
Have a great night. Best of luck to your Houston Rockets in this upcoming series against the Warriors. It's Ryan Hollins, former NBA vet. Catch him all over Rockets television nowadays. And follow him on Twitter at @TheRyanHollins. Folks, unlock your winning edge with an unbeatable offer right now. Get full VEASAN Pro access to everything we do now through August 1st for just $59. Sign up now. You'll save 50% off the regular monthly price with a daily email recapping all the best bets from our hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, complete with trends and analysis to sharpen your game, 24/7 video on the VEASAN Watch app, plus full VEASAN.com access featuring advanced analytics and pro betting systems. Every sport, every edge, one damn good price. Don't wait. Get full access through August 1st for just $59 over at VEASAN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. The playoffs are getting so close I can taste it. More picks, more winners up next. More cashing out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night, right on into your Friday morning. No better way to get your weekend started than right here, right now, with me, except maybe than with me and Ryan Hollins. How about that? Terrific stuff from the former NBA big man, now all over Houston Rockets television. And this is a Rockets team. You know it. I know it. I am very high on the possibilities with this team. Now, look, I've got the 27-1 ticket on Houston to emerge out of the West. Do I think the Rockets are going to win the West? No, I don't. Do I think that value at 27-1, which you can still get, shop around 25, 26, 27-1, do I think that value is too good to pass up on a 2 seed? Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, you look at the history of the 2 versus the 7 since the NBA playoffs expanded to 16 teams, and 2 seeds, same record as 1s versus 8, 72-6 in the series. 72-6. I know this Golden State team is not your typical, not your average 7 seed. I get that. I appreciate that. I still think they're vulnerable. And you look at them after Steph and after Jimmy, and I don't trust anyone to be a competent, more importantly, consistent third scorer on Golden State after Steph and Jimmy. And I got news for you. They're not putting up a combined 75 every game against this Houston team like they did against a Memphis team who, despite a valiant effort in the playing game, has been consistently one of the worst defensive units in the NBA post-All-Star break. Just not buying into a performance like that from Steph and Jimmy, 75 combined every night against the Rockets. Houston's arguably the second best defensive team in the West. So my plan, if it goes to a Game 7, that's where I'll start my hedge. I'm going to hold on to that ticket. If the series goes 7, I'll start my hedge there. If not, if it ends sooner, if the Rockets win sooner, then I'll look to hedge second round against the Lakers. Because I do think the Lakers would beat Houston. But at the value, I just couldn't pass it up. So I'm going to hold that ticket. And if it gets to 7, hedge then. If the Rockets win it sooner, I'll hedge in the next round. That's how I'm betting that series. How am I betting Friday? Let's dive in. It's time for the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. We're starting with 3 plays and hoops, and then we're going to work our way to the diamond where we've got 4 more. That's right, 7 best bets on a Friday. What else could you ask for? Let's start with one that we gave out yesterday. It's already on the website, and so the price I'm sticking to is the one I gave out yesterday because we moved the market. We're starting with the Heat money line. It was plus $1.05 when I gave it out yesterday, and now it's minus 110 at some shops. A pick'em. I would still take it at a pick'em. I would also maybe look alt. I mean, I was looking at minus 5.5 was 3-1 for the Heat. You know, I mean, a lot of these alt numbers in the NBA playoffs hit. Very few of these games that are, tight spreads actually land on or around the number, right? Look at all the tight spreads we had in the first 4 playing games. 3 of those 4 were decided by 14 or more. So I like the Heat in this one. I think defensively they're going to be too much for Atlanta. Trae Young's got that Achilles bothering him. I think he's going to have an off night. And even if Dyson Daniels does his thing against Tyler Hero, I think the Heat just have too many other options. Bam, Wiggins, Davion Mitchell off the bench was sensational against Chicago. He outscored the Bulls bench single-handedly at 15 and 9 dimes off the bench. Davion Mitchell, the Baylor product. So I love the Heat money line, and I already kind of alluded to it. How about Trae Young under 25.5 points? Best price, minus 110 at DraftKings. He went over this against the Magic, needed the free throw line to get there. Very inefficient from the floor, was just 8 of 21, 1 of 5 from 3. Terrible from beyond the arc. Got to the line 12 times, 11 of 12 from the line. This Miami team, talked about them. Defensively, they're too good. Held Chicago, a Bulls team that, albeit they've got flaws on defense, they've been scoring at will on everyone and their mother the last 6 weeks. Miami went to Chicago, held them to 90 points. Defense in the playoffs is different, and especially when you got an Eric Spoelstra-led squad. Even without Jimmy, this Heat team still remembers how to defend. They held the Bulls to 90. Chicago never had a single quarter where they scored 30. They also held Kobe White, the Bulls, I would say, best offensive threat, to just 17 points. Give me Trae Young under 25.5 with that Achilles that's lingering. Speaking of injured superstars, final bet, best bet in the nightcap, Grizzlies Mavericks, Ja Morant under 26.5. That's minus 105 at BetMGM. I mean, that Morant ankle looks far worse than the Trae Young Achilles, right? Young listed as probable, Morant listed as questionable. Look, it's do or die, it's win or go home. He's going to play, but I don't think he's going to score much. He had 15 points at halftime against the Warriors. Rolled that ankle. What did he finish with, 22? I think a rolled ankle is worse a couple days later than it is 5 minutes after the fact. That thing swells up like a you-know-what. Now, again, look, I've said this numerous times on Cashing Out here this episode. I've said it earlier in the week. He's going to get shot up with painkillers and you name it, and he's going to play. Even though he's listed as questionable, I think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to be that impactful or that effective. I think under 26.5 points is like taking candy from a stinking baby. Minus 105 at MGM. Lock it in. In fact, We're going to call that my best bet. Best bet's brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Folks, G-Bank's up in the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from the account opening receive a $250 bonus. Additionally, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the 30 days of your account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now, VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions, of course, apply. How about some bets on the diamond? Let's take it over to the MLB. 4 more plays coming at you. And we're starting with a Nerfy. Gave it out to some Twitter followers to break the tie, because on the VSiN Daily Morning Bets going into Thursday, we had 2 baseball bets. They went 1-1. Had some people ask me for more after the Sanchez K-prop got home. Went Royals-Tigers Nerfy -120. It was a sweat with Reese Olson and Michael Lorenzen, but it got home. This time, I think it should be a little easier, and that's why it's a little juicier. -35 cents, but I'm still going to play it because Cole Reagans has been sensational. Cole Reagans is live for the Cy Young. And I mean, he was like the 3rd or 4th shot preseason, so this is nothing crazy. But Cole Reagans is the truth. I love this kid. In the month of April, 3 starts. It was a little shaky opening day, like 5 innings, 3 earned. Since then, 3 starts, 18 1/3 innings, 3 earned. 1 earned run in each of his last 3 starts. If you want to go under 1.5 earned, it's -105. Be my guest. But I'm going to shorten this to the Nerfy. Jackson Jobe, the rookie, highly touted prospect for the Tigers, making his 3rd start of the year, 3rd career start. Remember, both appearances a year ago were out of the bullpen. Reagans, Jobe, a Royals offense that stinks. It's anemic. It's been 2 weeks since the Kansas City Royals scored more than 4 runs. 2 weeks, no exaggeration. 14 calendar days since they scored more than 4. Give me the Nerfy -135 in Detroit. Give it to me in Toronto -120. How about this? Brian Wu got scratched from Thursday, Mariners-Reds. We talked about the Nerfy there when he was the probable. Then got replaced with Emerson Hancock. We stayed away. Thank goodness, because they went Yerfy in that one. Now he's going up to Toronto. Wu's pitching. He's a Nerfy stud. Last year was sensational to the Nerfy. Bowden Francis is also a certified stud. Youngster for the Blue Jays who had like 3 starts down the stretch last season of 8 innings and 1 hit, including 2 no-hitters into the 9th that got broken up by a solo home run. Bowden Francis is terrific. Brian Wu is terrific. The Mariners, fresh off a travel day. Great price. I mean, this was -135 for Wu against the Reds. Now, against the Jays, -120. Better price? Psh, sign me up. Mariners, Blue Jays, Nerfy, -120. Now we're going 2 home teams to not bat in the bottom of the 9th, essentially saying they're going to win, and it won't be a walk-off win. Phillies against the Marlins, -130. Zach Wheeler has stunk his last 2 starts. I don't care. He owns the Marlins. Look at what he's done against bad lineups this year. Dominated the Nationals, dominated the Rockies. Then struggled against the Braves in Atlanta, struggled in St. Louis. Now he's back home, taking on a team he's familiar with his entire career, a team he's owned his entire career. Phillies are -220 money line at DraftKings. -130 to not bat in the bottom of the 9th is a sensational price. You're getting 90 cents shorter on this one. Give it to me -$1.30. Final play of Friday. Give me my Mets to not bat in the bottom of the 9th. They're -165 money line. We're saving 50 cents by saying they'll win and it won't be a walk-off. Miles Michaelis is a batting practice pitcher going for the Cardinals. David Peterson seems to be avoiding the regression everyone was calling for this season. He's been great for my Mets. I think Juan Soto, after a couple rough games in a row, might have a big one. He's 3-1 to go deep. Give me the Mets to not bat in the bottom of the 9th, -115. And that'll do it for the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. That'll also do it for another terrific edition of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, but the great content here at VSiN never ends. You want more baseball? How about Jensen Lewis and Dave Ross, 7 a.m. Eastern, VSiN by the books. Don't want to miss it. Then a numbers game, 10 a.m. Eastern, Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin, and Money Moves with our girls Stormy Bond and Tony at noon Eastern. Special thanks to our sensational producer, Jared Moore, for the terrific show he put together. The rest of our incredible team behind the glass here at the VSiN studios at Circa. Couldn't have done it without them. That does it for another great week of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. We go on a 69-hour break. See you Easter Sunday.